Good morning, everybody. Just since checking the audience, all of you welcome. Jonathan, thank you so much for the kind introduction. Similarly to you, Bongani, and Nobuhle. Pleasure to meet all of you. Mzwake, welcome. And everybody else that I'm not seeing, on the screen, definitely a warm welcome from me, Katlego.
CX Centric conversation.
Just at a background, I'm Katlego Maputa. Currently I'm the business development manager at Genfin Business Finance, all things business funding. So it's pretty exciting for me, to be joining this particular conversation, sharing, the little bit of knowledge that I have, and with the aim particularly to excite you in terms of what the future holds, for firstly, number one, business funding, number two, the economy, all right, and the prospects that, are coming into the future. And where do SMEs lie, within the greater space, of business funding, and how do we support them moving forward? So yes, I'm going to highlight, a couple of things, throughout the presentation today. We'll look at the business overview. I'll take you through a little bit about who Genfin is, what we do, how do we assist SMEs, how do we become to be in existence. I'm going to talk about the emergence of the alternative lending space, which is quite interesting. I'm going to also touch base in terms of, understanding customer centricity, and, how does that, relate to business funding in particular. And then I've got a little bit of a case study that I would like to show you, and we can showcase, we can go through this particular example that particularly highlights how we as Genfin Business Finance put the client, which is our customer first, being we are a business to business kind of like company. All right. And then all to the conclusion. All right. So moving along, who are we? Genfin Business Finance. We've been established since 2016, but our holding company has been in existence since 2010. All right. We provide services, to SMEs in South Africa in particular with funding, right? And then to small to medium enterprises, generally companies that operate with a turnover between 1 million rand all the way through to 100 million. That's basically our core target market. We've got a small footprint currently right now, but we've got a massive digital reach. We are a first digital company, all right? We are a fintech, and then all our applications, you'll see when I take through our customer journey, everything from application all the way through to payout is all paperless and digital, all right? We really are seamless from that perspective, and we are uniquely positioned right now at this particular stage to, tap into the market, where there is a huge, if I can say, demand for funding, for our clients. This is a big gap within the South African market. SMEs are finding it really difficult to, not actually apply for, but actually receive the funding. So this is where we come in. We're supported by really blue chip companies. We're supported by RMB Bank. We're supported by Salam Investments as well, Ashburton Investments, as well as and Standard. These are our investment partners. It goes without saying as well is that RMB also owns, a particular share in our company, about 20%, from that perspective. And we are owned by entrepreneurs. So we understand entrepreneurship. We are for entrepreneurs, and we want to provide the services to entrepreneurs. All right. So moving along, the emergence of the alternative lending space. So as you can see, in this slide, there is options, or rather should I say, there are options for SMEs to really, seek funding, all right? As you can see, for the solutions there's private equity, there's venture capitalists in the country, there's commercial funding organizations, that's where the emergence of alternative lending market, we will then look at point of sale, etc. There's commercial banks, there's government and financial institutions as well as ED, enterprise development organizations that particularly, provide services to SMEs in this country, all right? But then how we uniquely position is that as much as we're a commercial bank, we provide, a unique product, from that complements, the SMEs in this country, where they'll be able to, tap into an affordable facility, that speaks to the unique businesses, through and through. And then it's cutting edge tech that we bring through to the fore. And that's where we try to hone in and really build our capacity from that perspective, in terms of the commercial banking. So you can see our competitor range is quite vast, but we really like to play in our own space, and we want to take ownership of that space. All right, understanding customer centricity in business funding. This is an important slide for us, and it's going to allude to, when I was saying, the highlight the importance of SMEs in our country, being South Africa. So the definition there, it's self-explanatory. I'm not going to delve too much into that. It's just to say that, customers who are focused and are centralized in putting all their efforts in understanding, number one, and prioritizing the needs of their customers really, really will excel moving in today and into the future. And why does that matter from a business funding perspective? Because here it is. SMEs in South Africa are the backbone of the economy, all right? SMEs contribute about 40% to the South African GDP. Now, if we look at this from a business funding perspective, all right, and if we look at the GDP of the country, I want to highlight some particular aspects of it. All right, let's highlight. I want us to go through something quickly. Okay, here's the stats of South African GDP. Okay, as of fourth quarter last year. Okay, South African GDP expanded by 0.6%. Number one, this expansion was led by the following sectors. Number one is agriculture. Number two is finance. And number three was trade and supply production. Okay. Annually, if the South African GDP grew by 0.6%, so it expanded by 0.6%, right? Versus 2023, all right? 2024 versus 2023. And listen to this stats. So finance, real estate, business services, and industry grew for an 8th consecutive quarter. So these are important, significant contributors to the African GDP. All right. This is very, very important to understand. Now, what does this mean? All right. SMEs are part of this. All right. SME job creation. All right. Is 60%. All right. Of the South African economy. All right. This is a proxy for economic growth. Now, this is very, very important to understand, because should we not understand, the needs, number one, highlight the importance of SMEs within the context of our South African economy. Number two, how do we drive growth as an economy? All right, so this is really, really important. So this is access to funding is critical for growth for these particular SMEs. Bearing in mind in large that we, if we're in the finance sector, which our company plays in Genfin Business Finance, we are currently not driving economic growth. We're in the forefront of economic growth at the present stage. Now, traditional lenders are failing to meet the customer needs, which is important. So now, customer-centric led businesses foster, long-term relationships and drive business growth moving forward, which will be the catalyst moving forward, which is another huge stat, which I'm going to share with you now in terms of what's going to be happening now in the next 5 years. Okay. Moving into another thing, which leads me now to my next slide. Okay. What are the challenges when you look at business funding? All right. Challenges here, notwithstanding high rejection rates for SMEs. SMEs, they do apply, they just don't get the funding, okay? Lengthy processes, a lot of red tape, bureaucracy, you name it. Lack of transparency as well, in terms of, if I'm declined, why am I declined? This is the questions that, SMEs do ask themselves. But herein lies the opportunity in terms of growing demand for alternative funding solutions, This is very important, okay? Digital transformation. How do we make it more seamless and a lot easier for SMEs to access funding? And increasing focus on customer centricity. The customer experience is critical here, okay? This will allow us to be a lot more differentiated moving forward, okay? Now, when we look at what the future holds for us, you're looking at the trends. and I'm sure, my colleague, Nobuhle, she will highlight the importance of AI. What does that mean from a digital transformation perspective? Learning, the personalization solutions, which is key. This is number one. Creating greater emphasis of digital transformation and automation. That's very critical because clients, or rather, should I say, SMEs don't have the time to be delving into paperwork, understanding all the other intricacies. They have a company to grow and manage. How about we make it easier for them? Okay. Growing demand of ethical lending. We are in the space of ethical lending and very socially responsible lending as well, which is important. And I was mentioning to you, SMEs create 60% of new jobs currently right now. Okay, 60%. This is a huge number. All right. Now, in the national development plan, from the government, in the NDP, it aims to say that SMEs should create about 90% of new jobs by 2030. Okay, huge expansion, and it links obviously SMEs to say, we are important to driving economic growth, number one, which is in relation obviously to the country's GDP. All right, so this is very important for you, for SMEs to understand moving forward. And now we want to be the drivers to that. We would like to be the catalyst to that. So this is our commitment to that. We're saying we want to continuously evolve to meet, the customer needs. We want to invest in technology. That's the second one. And also the talent to enhance our CX in terms of our customer centricity and experience. All right. And then we're going to expand our reach to support more SMEs across the South African landscape, tapping into the huge potential whereby we want to be, driving the engine, of job creations of 90% of new jobs in the country, which is huge. Okay. So now I'm going to pause there a little bit and I'm going to go into a customer journey, no more information. Let's go into the practical steps in terms of what have we done as Gentleman Business Finance, to incorporate customer centricity in our everyday business. This is what we do. Okay. Easy. Our business funding is fairly quick. All right. Fairly quick is 3 steps only. All right. No financial projections are required. So for us to have an application, an SME to bring an application to us, it's free of charge, number one. It costs them not a cent. Number two, we don't require financial projections. We don't require your business profile. We don't require your, if I can say, your business plan. We don't need that. Okay. We've made it as seamless as possible. All I need from you as a business owner, send me your company CK documentation to assure us that, you are registered within the ambit of South African economy, number one. Number two, all I need is a 12-month bank statements, and I'll be able to see how I can assist you. I'll be able to understand and say, this is the score for you, and then you will have an answer within 24 hours. Okay. It's really easy. You can the client can access the application on our webpage or use the use of our lead provider program. 12-month bank statement. Step number 2, offer made in 24 hours with an assistance of our dedicated business funding analyst who will be specific and analyzing the detail of your business. You will give us consent, of course. We do the normal credit checks, etc., according to, FSCA principles, etc. And we do cover, the POPI Acts, etc. So from a compliance perspective, we're well on board with that. So clients shouldn't be worried. And then access to funding is done typically within 72 hours, provided all the paperwork is in order. Some other things we need: management accounts, SARS, statement of accounts, and also annual financial statements. Those are critical. 3 easy steps for easy access to funding. All right. Where there was a case study, one of our South African SMEs, within the transport and logistics sector, needed urgent funding to purchase a truck. Simple as that. The Genfin solution: quick access to the business financial health of the company, bearing in mind the 12-month bank statements, asking a couple of questions from the statements that we see, addressing them with the client. Tailor-made solutions, flexible repayment terms, offer out in 24 hours, funds in the bank account 72 hours. Everything that I just said, all is digital, no paperwork. No pen, no paper. All right. Outcome, successfully fulfilled in orders. They secured, long-term contract. They still have it today. And second to that, we received a recommendation. All right. They continue to recommend their peers use Jason Business Finance. All right. Moving forward. So this is also important and critical for us. So you see, based on this case study, you can see how we've adapted, moving into, all the competitors in the market, following our niche, playing into our strength, providing seamless access to funding, and also making sure that our clients have the best customer experience possible. Okay. What gives us the competitive edge as Genfin versus traditional lenders? The banks, the big banks in our country, application process, let's start there. It's lengthy, complex, high volumes of documentation. This is true. For us, application process, simple, uncomplicated, and limited documentation. If you look at the turnaround time, all right, it can be up to 30 days, even more, no certainty of approval from our clients, all right? For us, feedback in 24 hours, definite certainty. Even if I don't, approve you for a particular funding or facility, you will know in 24 hours, pay out in 3 days. The level of certainty is very, very high, okay? When you look at approval rates, low approval rate with onerous provisions, they're going to attach everything, your assets, all of that. High approval rates on our side from an alternative lender space for viable applications. Okay. And then we don't attach assets, no application fees, really, really simple, and we really understand the needs that are out there for our clients, which is the SMEs. Okay. So at the end of it, why should you choose Genfin? Firstly, we are trusted. Okay. We were well trusted. We understand what businesses require. Okay. We've been in this space for a number of years, and not only withstanding, the company is being built by entrepreneurs themselves. So who better to service entrepreneurs than entrepreneurs themselves? We're highly rated on Google reviews. Our Google review 4.9 out of 5%. We top notch in terms of our client service. All right. We've got our reviews. You can go online. You can check them out. Definite certainty from a client perspective. He will know how and when, if he can be funded or not, very, very important, so that they can make more money, they can drive economic growth, and capture the opportunity they have at their hands. We've got dedicated business planning analysts, dedicated business development managers, and a dedicated company that's willing to go, the full Monty to ensure that, number one, your needs are met. Number two, we provide you with excellent quality service. And number three, we give you the facility and the monetary value to, grow your business. All right. So the key takeaway from our side here is customer centricity is a game changer. Listen to your clients, move according to, your strengths, because this will allow you to, capture the market a lot faster. We have a unique approach that sets us apart, in the South African market. We have tried and tested. We've actually been in the forefront of many, if I can say, trends within the alternative lending space, where our competitors are following us. And also we're prioritizing customer needs, and customer experiences, to allow SMEs to thrive and contribute to the economy. Just to finalize, to put it into perspective, the South African GDP is just over 400 billion, all right? Where the NDP is projecting that 90% of, new jobs will come from SMEs. Let's support you. Let's, work together, to realize this dream, realize this goal, so we can see further growth within our South African economy. Thank you so much. That's my presentation. Are there any questions?
CX-centric conversation.